Okay, welcome everybody to the last video for section 5.2, more properties of exponents. We're going to talk about today, I guess. Let me talk to Black. This is going to be, I guess, C. We're going to talk about C. Our video C is going to talk about power rule for exponents, power over product rule, and power over quotient rule. We're going to just go through some examples. So keep in mind that b to the nth power is our base, b, multiplied by itself n times. So that means it's b times b times b dot 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 times b multiplied together n times. So we're going to go through this power rule for exponents. We're going to remember that one. B to the mth power to the nth power is b to the m times n. And here's another rule that we learned, or I guess the other two rules that we learned. A times b, all in parentheses, to the mth power. The product is a times b. So the power of a product rule says that a times b to the mth power is a to the mth power, b to the mth power. Same thing holds true for quotients. A divided by b to the mth power is a to the mth power divided by b to the mth power. And oh, by the way, b cannot be equal to 0. So let's go through some examples down here and see what we can do with some of these examples. Again, I will do the first one, and I'm going to recommend that you stop the video at some point to say, let me see if I can do these, and then see what kind of answers we get. I'm going to go up here and just take this one kind of as a side note and say, this is the reason why we're not going to do the side note. 2xyz to the fourth power. Well, you know what? This is our base. So I'm going to say, here's my 2xyz, and I have to multiply that by itself 4 times. 2xyz, 2xyz, and if you really get stuck, this is something that you can do, but if you don't remember the rule. And then from here you'd say, well, I've got 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. That would be 2 to the fourth power, and I've got x times x times x times x. Oh yeah, that'd be x to the fourth power. Dot dot dot. We'd have y to the fourth power. And we have z to the fourth power, and then there's your answer. But you know what? The easier way is to remember that it's 2 to the first power, x to the first power, y to the first power, z to the first power, and we have to just multiply the inside parentheses by the outside, or sorry, the inside exponent by the outside exponent to get 2 to the 1 times fourth power, x to the 1 times fourth power, y to the 1 times fourth power, z to the 1 times fourth power equals 2 to the fourth power. And you could even take the shortcut to get to just 2 to the fourth power. X to the fourth power, y to the fourth power, z to the fourth power. And there should be our answer. Now, whichever way you get to it. I don't recommend going this way because we know the shortcut. You don't even have to recommend, I suppose you don't even have to do this step here, because if we know the shortcut, we can just do it in our head. 2 to the 1 times 4 is 4, x to the 1 times 4 is 4, y to the 1 times 4 is 4, z to the 1 times 4 is 4, and just write down this answer here. And if I'm looking for an answer, I would say, you know what, 2 to the fourth power, you could multiply it all out, but if I'm just looking for, do you know the rule, you could leave it as 2 to the fourth power. I'd be okay with it. Not a problem. So now pause the video, do some of these on your own, and see what kind of answers you get. Alright, so this one should be, and I'm just going to cut to the chase, and I'm going to say this is going to be 5 to the third power, x to the sixth power, y to the 21st power. And there's our answer. 5 to the first times 3 is 5 to the third power. X squared cubed is x to the sixth power. Y to the 7 times 3 is 21st power. This one I'm going to rewrite, and I should have pointed this out. This is, it's easier to look at as that 2/5 to the third power. And there's our answer, or sorry, there's our question. How do we do that one? That one should be 2 to the third power over 5 to the third power. 2 to the first power times 3 is 2 to the first power times 3 is 2 to the third power. 5 to the first power times 3 is 5 to the third power. And there's our answer. Down here, the last question should be negative 2 to the third power. So it'd be negative 2. This one you might want to write out longhand. Negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2, just because it's got a negative sign in front of it. You've got to pay attention to the negative sign, and the negative sign should probably go with the 2. So it would be negative 2 to the third power would be negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2, and then the rest of them you could use the rule for. The rest of them you would say this would be t to the 6th power, and w to the 4 times 3 is 12 power. And then you would say negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 is negative 8, t to the 6th power, w to the 12th power. And there would be our answer. Alright. If we do these ones we've got to really kind of separate and conquer. Sometimes you can say divide and conquer, but divide has kind of a mathy term, or mathy meaning, so I say separate and conquer. Let's take a look at this one first. And then that x cubed can come later, and x to the 7th squared, we can also apply that one, or kind of attack that one as well. But first would be x squared to the 6th power would be x to the 2 times 6 is 12th power times x cubed all over x to the 7 times 2 power is x to the 14th power. And now this one would be x to the 12th power times x cubed. We can go the long way, and we could say, well, it'd be x times x times x times x to 12 times x times x times x. But we know the rule is x to the, when we're multiplying these together, it'd be x to the 12 plus 3rd power over x to the 14th power. This one would be x to the 15th power, 12 plus 3 is 15, and then over x to the 14th power. And now we're going to subtract these, and it'd be x to the 1st power, or simply x. Either one. Either answer would be correct, because they're the same answers. So there's our answer. Separate and conquer. Take a look at this one first. Gives us x to the 12th power. X cubed stays the same. X to the 7th squared is x to the 14th power, and then just kind of combine things as we can. Answer is x. Alright, I'm going to recommend pausing and then going from there, and we'll check our answers as well. This one is going to be on our own. Alright, so let's go through this one. And we'll say, again, we're going to try and separate and conquer. Take a look at that one first. And we're going to say that one should be k to the 5 times 2 power, should be k to the 10th power, multiplied by k to the 8th power. We're not going to do anything with that one yet. We're going to attack it just in a little bit. This bottom section should be, hang on just one second, let me get back to the right page. Alright, sometimes Smartboard doesn't help. This one down here should be k to the 2 times 4 is k to the 8th power. And now we could just kind of take a shortcut and say, you know what, k to the 8th power, k to the 8th power, those should cancel out. And that should be k to the 10th power. But let's go through our rules just to kind of confirm. This one then should be k to the 10 plus 8 power over k to the 8 power, k to the 18 over k to the 8, k to the 18 minus 8, sorry my k's are a little sloppy, becomes k to the 10th power, and there's our answer. Either way we would have done the same thing. If you follow the rules, I guess the take-home message for this one on the right is if you follow the rules you get to the same answer as if you see the shortcut here that k to the 8th divided by k to the 8th is 1, so we can just cancel that out. And what's left is k to the 10th. But if you followed the rules, you'd still get to the same spot. So not a problem. Either way you do it, you can get the answer either way. Alright, a couple more examples. Simplify this guy times that guy cubed. Alright, well, first of all we have to attack one of them. Probably attack this one here. So we're going to rewrite this 3cd squared, and we're going to just keep that one just by itself. We're not going to do anything with it because we've got this cubed applying to this one first. Remember, we've got to apply if we follow PEMDAS, parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction, multiplication of these two comes after we apply this exponent first here. So if we follow that rule, we say this would be, in blue, 2 cubed times c cubed, c to the first power cubed, times d to the 9th power. 3 times 3 gives us 9. Now we can multiply these together. And just for clarity's sake, I'm going to put a parentheses around here because that had parentheses up here. Now, let's say what we do. We've got 2 cubed gives us 8. 8 times 3 is 24, and that's our number. C to the first power times c cubed is c to the 1 plus 3 is c to the 4th power. D squared times d to the 9th power is d to the 2 plus 9 is d to the 11th power. If you want to pause, we can go through these yourselves and we'll see what we can get. This is our last 2 examples. We'll see what we can get with both of those examples on your own, and then I'll come up to an answer. Alright, here's our answer. Again, just like this one over here, we've got to kind of take a look at this and say, I've got to attack that one first. So I'm going to rewrite this over here. And let's see, hang on. This one here is going to remain as 4x to the 4th y. This one has to be multiplied, has to take into account the exponent here. So I'm going to say this one should be 2 to the 4th power, x to the 12th power, 3 times 4 is 12, y to the 4 times 4 is 16 in parentheses. That's a 16. And now we're going to multiply things because now we've got no exponents on the outside of the parentheses like up here. We had to simplify that one first to get to the blue down here. Now we can get to an answer. 4 times 2 to the 4th power is 2 to the 4th power is 4 times 4 is 16 times 4 is 64. X to the 4th times x12 is x to the 4 plus 12 is x to the 16. Y to the 1st times y to the 16th is y to the 1st power plus 16, or 1 plus 16 is 17, and there's our answer. Alright, for this one, this one is going to be complicated. So, we've got to, first of all, probably distribute the 2 to each one of these and say this should be, just 1 second, x to the 14th power, y to the squared power, or y squared, z to the 8th power, all over 8 squared, x squared, z to the 6th power. So there's our first step. Second step is to cancel things out and say, well, now we've got a quotient that we can kind of divide out. And we can say we've got x to the 14. Well, I guess first, shoot, let's take a look at the x's first. This would be x to the 14 minus 2 is x to the 12th power. Y, there's no y's in the bottom to cancel, so this should be stays y squared. Z to the 8th minus z to the 6th is z to the squared power, or z to the 2nd power on the top in the numerator. And there's no numbers in the numerator to cancel out with numbers in the denominator. This number in the denominator stays down as 8. 8 squared, you could keep it as 8 squared, or you could put it as 64. And there's our answer. Alright, questions, bring them to class. We'll do some more examples in class as well.